Alright, today we're going to learn how to find the volume of a sphere, hemisphere, and a composite solid. Alright, so first off, let's talk about spheres. Spheres are three-dimensional circles, right? A ball. And to find the volume, we need to know the formula. So the formula to find the volume of a sphere is V equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. So anytime you want to find the volume of any type of sphere, you would go ahead and multiply 4/3 with pi and then take the radius of the sphere and raise it to the power of 3. So for example, let's say I want to find the volume of the yellow toy ball that I just showed you, right? So first off, I need to find out what's the radius. So we'll go ahead and measure it, and we see that we have a diameter here of about 2 inches. And remember that radius is half of a diameter, so this has a radius of 1 inch. So now let's go ahead and use that information to help us find the volume of this yellow ball. So V equals to 4/3 times pi times 1 to the power of 3. Now 1 times 1 times 1, right? 1 to the power of 3 is just 1. So we have V is equal to 4/3 times pi times 1. So there's two ways we can go about this. We can treat each of these separately, right? Or we can multiply 4 pi and 1 and then divide by 3. You have two options, right? So let's try this option first. Let's multiply all of these together first and then divide by 3. So we've got 4 times pi times 1. That equals to 12.5663706.1. And then we're going to divide all of this by 3. And we get our answer, which is approximately 4.19 inches cubed. Okay? So that's one way of doing it. Another way to do it is to take 4/3 in its entirety and multiply it with pi and 1. So the way we would do that on a calculator is we would use parentheses and we put 4 divided by 3, and then we multiply this by pi, multiply it by 1, and we get the same answer, 4.18790.205, which would round to 4.19 inches cubed. So that's how we find the volume of a sphere. Okay? Now, next, let's say we want to find the volume of a hemisphere. So first, let's talk about what is a hemisphere. Well, that's simple. Let's say that this orange represents a sphere, right? It is a orange ball. So a hemisphere gotta make sure I'm cutting it right down the middle. There you go. That is a hemisphere. It's half of a sphere. That's what we call a hemisphere. So we know that the formula to find the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Now, if the volume is 4.9 and the hemisphere is half a sphere, that means I would only need half of the volume as well. So let's say I want to find the volume of this orange that I just cut. So first off, I'd want to find out, well, what's the diameter or the radius, right? And I see it has a diameter of about 3 inches. So that gives it a radius of 1.5. All right, so let's write this out. Formula to find the volume of a hemisphere. All right, now let's compare. The sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. I only need half of that, right? So I can write volume equals to 1/2 times 4/3 times pi times r cubed. And I can simplify this, right? And I see that 2 and the 4, they divide out, and I get 1 here and 2 here. So now I have 2/3 pi r cubed. And that is the formula to find the volume of a hemisphere. So earlier, I said that the radius for my orange was equal to 1.5 inches. So now we'll go ahead and plug it in. Volume equals to 2/3 pi times 1.5 to the power of 3. All right, so let's try that out. 2 divided by 3 times pi times 1.5 to the power of 3. And I get approximately 7.07 inches cubed. Now, what if I wanted to find the volume of the entire orange? How would I find it? I can take this volume here, multiply by 2, and that would give me the volume of the entire orange. All right, next, let's talk about composite solids. So, a composite solid is when we take multiple 3D objects and combine them together. For example, let's say I took a cylinder and I put a hemisphere right on top, just like that. Like a silo, right? And I want to know what's the volume of that. Now we know how to find the volume of the cylinder. We know how to find the volume of the hemisphere. So really the trick is find the volume of each thing, add them together, right? So for example, let's say I want to find the volume of this paper towel roll with an orange attached to the top, right? The orange I cut out. What would I need to do to find that? Well, first off, I would need to find out the height of my cylinder. And I can see that the height of my cylinder is about 11 inches. So, from here to here is 11 inches. And the radius, right, I already told you was 1.5 inches. So let's go ahead and use that information to help us find the formula for this composite solid. Now, the two formulas we're using is the volume of the cylinder and we know that the formula for that is pi r squared times the height, and then the volume of the hemisphere. And we knew that was volume is equal to 2/3 pi r cubed. So to find the volume of this composite solid, right, since we have a cylinder and a hemisphere, we just take these two and add them together. Pi r squared times the height plus 2/3 pi r cubed. Now, let's go ahead and start plugging our numbers in. All right, so we have pi times 1.5 to the power of 2 times 11 plus 2/3 times pi times 1.5 to the power of 3. All right, so 1.5 to the power of 2, that's 2.25. So this is pi times 2.25 times 11, and then 1.5 to the power of 3, that's 3.375. So we have 2/3 times pi times 3.375. And now we're going to go ahead and multiply these together, and then add up our two totals. So pi times 2.25 times 11, right? That gives us 77.75. So I'll go and write that, 77.75. And again, this is going to be an approximation. It won't be exact, but it'll be very close. Okay, and as long as you go to nearest hundredth, you're fine. All right, we'll do the same over here. 2/3 times pi times 3.375, and that gives me, and you probably remember this from the last example, 7.07. Okay, now I'm going to add these two up. 7.07 plus 77.75. That gives us a volume of approximately 84.82 inches cubed. And that is how we find the volume of a composite solid. Break it down to its parts, find the volume of each part, and then add them up. All right, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time.